What's up, kids? Another episode of Snap Tackle Pod this week. It's colder outside. We both have sleep on. Dion Clisell out there in Eastern Blue Springs. I'm Nick Schaefer in Western Shawnee. We cover everything in between those two areas and on the outskirts of those areas, north, south, east, northwest. There's a lot of high schools with the name Northwest in them metro areas, so we make sure we catch Northwest high school football podcast, the very best. Maybe the only, but that doesn't take away from the title of very best, right, Dion?
Yes. Like I said a few weeks ago, we're the second most popular, or at least behind the Heights on Apple's iTunes. So,
New Heights?
New Heights, yeah.
Us, or then us.
Yeah, because it became the number one podcast when all that started happening. The Swifties were tuning in to see what Travis Kelce and his brother were like.
I've got my self-service wrenchette here. I'm in my basement. I'm going to unclog a garbage disposal.
Hopefully, I've done that,
but I'm putting that aside right now, so we can talk high school football.
I haven't done that in a while because we got a new garbage disposal. Well, it's been a few years now, but a very heavy duty one that we got at Costco for a good deal, and you can put just about anything down that thing. So
yeah, I'm sure we got a good deal on this one, but I don't know if it's heavy duty. So we'll see. I put the chances of me fixing this thing at like 20%.
It's not that hard. Sometimes it's just locked and you just got to undo it and go on with your day. Yeah.
Hopefully this might be a 2-hour edition of Snap Tackle Podcast. I'll be stalling, just putting that chore off.
I snaked a drain yesterday. Does that make you feel any better? This cool little thing I got at Home Depot.
Yeah.
It's this long plastic thing and you put it, and my son's shower has been just filling up for a while. And I did it a while ago and it didn't do it. Whatever I got out of it or pushed down all the way through did the trick, because last night his shower was, he didn't in the shower with this much water in the bottom of the
I know, right?
shower. When he doesn't step on the plug, so it goes down while he's in the shower. So I mean, he's 13, so
anymore I just dump gallons of Drano Max down there, and
it's bad on the plastic pipes though.
Okay,
eats them away over time. As someone who has plumbed as a profession for a short amount of time, that's
I need you in my house then some of these times, and plenty of issues with water.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. Final week
of the regular season. Yes.
The regular season, and we're jockeying for position here.
Yeah.
The Kansas Missouri sides.
Some people are jockeying. Some people are having it jockeyed for them by earning some forfeits. The Van Horn is the team that shot to the top of its district, earning its now second forfeit of the season after they got a forfeit to open the season.
We've seen so many by a handful of schools now in the Kansas City area, and then outside of Kansas City area in Missouri. Have we seen this many in a while?
It's the most I can think of. And last night, Park Hill South, I had to forfeit their first 7 games, but they were 1-6, so they lose their victory over Rockbridge. But they had 3 games where they scored. They were within less than 13 points, so it affects district points. Not always district standings.
Does it go -13?
Yeah, you go 13-0.
Doesn't matter if you lost by 1.
Yeah,
you won by 50. It's -13.
Yeah, for the district points on the Missouri side and the district points or the tie-breaking points on the Kansas side, because Lincoln Prep's forfeits affected Topeka Highland Park, which gave them another win.
Right, and so for those
plus 13
that benefit from the forfeit, they get 13 points. Is it a plus 13 for them?
Yep, plus 13. So if you go to those teams, you'll see 0 to 13 losses if they forfeited, and go to the other teams, you'll see 13-0. But Van Horn is the one that jumped from 3rd to 1st, combined with a Jeff City loss. So right now they were just a hair behind him is Pleasant Hill. So if Pleasant Hill plus 13s this week, they would probably go past possibly go past Van Horn. Just depends. Van Horn's got a tough one with St. Michael this week, so it'll be interesting to see what they do. So now it's unfortunate. There some clerical errors, I think, is pretty much the theme, or not understanding transfer rules or not interpreting transfer rules well. Errors made by adults, and I think it's time that everyone kind of steps back and looks at what they've done and make sure everything is right the way they need to be. And I will include journalists as well, because plenty of people speculated all kinds of crazy things when these first started happening and misreported. And as journalists, we do have a simple rule, even though I didn't go to J school, you did. you got to have double confirmation on anything before you say it. Yeah. Which generally means the school and Misha, because anything else that's said outside of what the school and Misha says is not proven fact. Whether or not you think it is, it's not. So whether you think something else is going on, that's fine. Or what you've been told something else is going on, that's fine. What they say, what the school says, and what Misha say, and when they coincide, that is the provable fact. So everybody needs to do better, from journalists to administrators. So that's my stump speech on forfeits, and we can move on to regular games now.
Well, one quick one. Why is this more of a problem on the Missouri side? Are we just better rule followers over here, or is it the State High School Association more sticklers over on the Missouri side?
Well, all these are self-reported. So I mean, outside of what I know,
itself, or I always assumed it was an opponent that kind of got wind of
maybe
it.
I think
blew the whistle to
from what I know from Grandview and Lincoln, they were self-reported. They looked and found out that it was, and I'm not saying that somebody didn't call the school and say, "Hey, I think that kid's ineligible," and then they looked into it and then they reported Misha. Contrary to popular belief, Misha and Keisha are not even the NCAA when it comes to investigation, which they aren't even that big of an investigation arm to try and keep things. They're not out. You turn in the paperwork. If the paperwork it looks correct, then they go on with the day, unless somebody says that that's not correct. And then they have to, either somebody comes to them, which in these cases, it was all self-reported. So it's unfortunate. The thing about it is I think it sucks for those kids. They still get to play in games. They played those games. They get to play in the postseason. No one has been forfeited out of the postseason. This is not Cardinal Ritter from 4 years ago playing a guy who was a senior who was suspended with a jersey number saying he was a freshman in a game, coaches knowingly playing him, trying to get around the rules, and thus their program got shut down and they didn't get to go to the postseason. This is not that. This is clerical errors that, punish kids. I mean, in the sense that, Lincoln Prep knows they housed Topeka Highland Park, but it's a 13-0 Topeka Highland Park victory now, and it helps Highland Park in their standings.
Yeah, it does affect Kansas a little bit.
Yeah. And Lincoln Prep, who was sitting at the 2 seed, now sitting at the 5 seed, ironically would play Grandview in the first round. So it is what it is. And I think for everyone, the forfeits are done. Playoffs are coming. Everybody gets to play in the playoffs. And no one has been banned from the playoffs yet. I say yet because who knows? It seems like every day there's something new. But I think I don't know. I don't know if there's a reason why suddenly we've had 3 schools in our area forfeit games, not to mention several others in the state of Missouri. So, last night people were theorizing, if you forfeit 5 games, you can't go to more than 5 games, 5 games more, you can't go to the postseason. That's if you didn't play the games. That's if there was a no contest. This was a game played and you had to forfeit the win, not so that's a little stickler for rules. And I'm lucky that Jason West is very accessible to me because he's been able to answer a lot of rules questions for me, which is good for Misha, and same with Keisha. Jeremy, is it Holloway? I think is the guy. Holiday, yeah. And Keisha, both very accessible guys. And I appreciate their help in answering any questions I have. And that's, like I said, it's unfortunate, but it's what happened. Only thing that anybody can do is go out and play football on Friday and then get ready to play their postseason games. I mean, that's at this point, nothing really needs to be discussed. I mean, it's over. It's time to move on.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll do it. I almost said last week, and I didn't want to jinx anybody. I almost said last week, this is the time of the season, not just for high school, but college and the NFL, because we saw it in those levels too, where teams, the good ones sometimes settle in, and you forget that there's other teams out there improving, right? That are battling and scratching and clawing, that aren't settled in who they are and are ready to become better teams. And that's when the upsets happen. And we saw a huge one, the biggest one of the year, right, in Kansas City last week, in Gardner falling to Olathe East, a signature win for Courtney Porter's program.
Well, and I'm not stunned that it was Olathe East that did it. That team's been getting better and better each week. And they have been outside. They played Olathe North in week 1. And I think that they were still in that phase of, can we be good? We were improving at the end of last year. What are we? They played Free State a couple weeks later. They beat Lawrence. They've beaten and then dominated some teams along the way. So they were primed for that spot. I mean, they were ready for that opportunity when it came to beat a team like Gardner Edgerton. And you're right, though. I can't remember which coach that came on my show last week talked about this little section of the season is the grind.
Yeah.
And this is the toughest spot to get through, week 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8, because like you said, as I'm typing in districts, the districts, by the time you were watching this, the district in Missouri will be updated a little later than normal because I had to make sure all the stuff was taken care of with games that we just discussed. The math, I didn't have to do it. I'm letting Misha make sure the math is right, and then I type them in. Same with, not so much as much on the Kansas side, because there's some movement that can come there because there's not a point system.
Yeah.
A lot of these spots are locked in. So it's tough to get up and go, if you're Lee Summit West, you go into that game last week, like if we win this game, we're going to have the top seed, and then you didn't. And now you got Liberty North this week. So now you got to kind of prepare yourself to, I don't know if Rockhurst can catch them, but we'll see. But a lot of these standings are not changing from week to week. This is in terms of typing in the district standings or updating the district standings. This is one that made my favorite week because I'm not moving people around. It's just, they're the same 5 or 6. Let's just update their record and their points. But yeah, this is the tough spot for teams that are pretty good and know what they're going to try and do in the postseason. And then there's teams that are pretty bad and know that probably, they're one game and done in the postseason. Those are the grind weeks.
Yeah.
The teams in the middle, the ones that are still battling, those are the dangerous teams, And I'm not going to throw Olathe East in the middle because Olathe East is near the top of their
5-2.
5-2. So, but that was a team maybe people weren't talking about. And, Gardner rolls through Mill Valley, Olathe North, and get those wins. And then, here comes Olathe East, and I'm sure they're kids, and they go, well, they lost to Free State and Olathe North. We beat Olathe North. We can beat them. And they beat them. And that's because, as Coach Wamsgons always tells me, they're still 16, 17, and 18, and you don't know what you're going to get on a Friday night. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're 8-0 or 0-8. You don't know sometimes. So that's what makes it fun. The last week of the season is tough sometimes to get through. And we saw that last week, but no, it's fun to see. I'm sure that people in Gardner like it. So it's not fun for them, but you get that out of the way. I mean, Joel Appleby is famous for saying that they learn way more after a loss, and sometimes they listen better after a loss than they did when they were winning. So a good coaches can take a loss and make sure that, one doesn't become 2 and you get better out of it.
You got to get AI on those district standings there, Dion. Nobody types stuff in anymore. It just happens.
It's kind of funny.
AI site, just say, hey, do the points for Missouri high school football, and bam, it comes out like a second later.
I wouldn't trust that. How would people know that I actually did it? Because there's got to be at least 1 or 2 typos.
Don't tell people you did. You lie. That's how.
It's like with the rankings each week that I send off to all the media in Missouri, and I'm pretty good about it's 60 teams that you're updating records and making sure all that stuff's good to go. And this was the first week that I did not get an email from the guy in the Northeast Missouri who, trust me, loves something as much as he loves double checking my media rankings, which is what I asked him to do. But I did not get hey, Moberly 7-1.
Yeah.
Because there's always 1 or 2 records. And I actually caught 2 of them that I didn't update over the weekend that I was able to update yesterday before we got those out. So I caught myself this week, but my lovely typos are really, I think people really enjoy that. Where there's an asterisk instead of a dash.
Let's have a chance before we jump over into Missouri and the results last week. Lawrence wins the Battle of Lawrence, beating Free State.
Great game.
Log jam at the top of the Sunflower League. You have 7 teams at between 5-2 and 6-1. And so you have Gardner, Lawrence, Free State, and Olathe North, all 6-1 going into the final week of the season. And since it's an unbalanced schedule in the Sunflower League, if you tie, even with a team that beats you, you're crowned co-league champs as well. But half, that's crazy. Half of the 14-team league is 5-2 or
and the funny thing about it is you look at the teams that are just underneath them, and I'll say like Shawnee Mission North, Shawnee Mission South,
Shawnee Mission East, Shawnee Mission Northwest.
Yeah, those 4 Shawnee Mission schools are kind of like the next little middle class there, and they're not bad teams. I mean, Shawnee Mission South took Olathe South all the way to the end last week in a 41-40 victory for Olathe South, but And Shawnee Mission North, beat Olathe Northwest last week, and that's an improved team. So yeah, that's the work of the 7 with the good records has been done over some solid teams. I would say in a 14-team league that's either too big or needs to be put into divisions, to have those teams do well really says that what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Quickly, EKL looks like it could come down to the final week, but Miege undefeated in it.
Yeah, I think Miege is going to get that.
You got Aquinas taking on Blue Valley Southwest, 2 and 3 playing each other in the league this week. Of course, Miege beat Aquinas, but yeah, Miege can beat Blue Valley Northwest. Actually, it's funny. 4 plays 1 and 2 plays 3 this week.
Yeah, I know, and I like Miege in that game. They're getting really good at winning the close games. Blue Valley West again took someone all the way to the end. That's what they did. But the Aquinas Blue Valley Southwest game is one of our Remax Big 3 games. I'm kind of curious with Aquinas. They got banged up in that Rockhurst game. They struggled to beat Blue Valley 10-7 last week.
10-7, just barely beat Blue Valley, right?
And Blue Valley is a solid team, so that could have something to do with it. But they're looking somewhat offensively challenged right now. And they're playing a Blue Valley Southwest team that's going to give them the ball plenty of times because they're going to score plenty of times.
Yeah,
that's the thing with Blue Valley Southwest is they score so many points. Yeah, you get so many more possessions. They've got to have slow possessions and try and keep that offense off the field. But it doesn't matter. They only need 3 plays to get down the field and score. So it's going to, like I said, that one's the one. That's one of them that's really got me interested. But Blue Valley Northwest is, they're so well coached and it's a good football team. They got a lot of talent. They're, kind of getting better as the season goes on. Like I said, Miege is playing well though. Miege has answered every question that they've been asked outside of the Rockers game. They lose that one 21-14, though. Rockers pretty much controlled that game the entire way out. But no, I think Miege is probably going to win that conference.
Yep. Over Missouri, Lee Summit West gets the 7-point win over Lee Summit North, 28-21.
North one.
Or North over West. Sorry.
Yeah. And that was a back and forth game. And I got to double check. North got down 7-0 and 14-7. And that might have been the only time they have trailed all season.
Yeah. But it's funny.
Or maybe Blue Valley Northwest was up on them 7-0. I don't want to show. There's a couple games where they were kind of slow starts. But West looked good. There was a ton of penalties in this game. And I know there were some personal fouls, but that's a rivalry game. So some of that's going to happen. I think there was you personal fouled me, I'm going to personal foul you. But it was kind of sloppy in the second half. But Lee Summit North really put the drive together when they needed to, went down and drove, and defensively had a good stand there at the end. So I think this is a lot about Lee Summit West. Because I think people were like, 7-0, is that a legit 7-0, or they just kind of been, taking advantage of their schedule? Played them tough. They get Liberty North this week. Remax Big 3 game for us. And we'll see. Liberty North, after giving up 26 to Blue Springs South, didn't seem very happy about that, and beat Ray Peck 38-0. It was 35-0 at the half. So that looked more like a Liberty North game than it did the week before. So they look pretty locked and loaded. But hey, Lee Summit West, the Tory kid, tailback, is outstanding. He's big and physical. The quarterback, who wears a 20 or 22, I can't remember. He's in the 20s. I know you love that. He's big and physical when he runs the ball. So yeah, and defensively they're very good. So Lee Summit West that's an interesting district. Lee Summit West, Lee Summit North, and then Rockhurst. Has there
been a steadier team than Lee Summit North this year? Like, look at their scores. They have scored between 21 and 39 points every game.
Yeah,
they've been in the 20s or the 30s, between 21 and 39, and they've given up between 14 and 24.
Yeah,
that's it. It's a 10-point span given up. It's an 18-point span scoring. And this is high school football. Usually, one week you're scoring 55, the next week you're scoring 6, and then 35, and then 17, and then back to 63. It seems like the same game every week. They're so steady, and they just know how to win football games.
Yeah, I throw Liberty North in that kind of as well. They're pretty much.
That's what I'm saying. Liberty North. Did I mess them up again? That's what I'm saying.
You said Lee Summit North.
Lee Summit North. Lee Summit North is who I said. I can't get them straight. I'm sorry. I'm talking about Lee Summit North. Yes.
Yeah.
You're throwing Liberty North.
I'm throwing Liberty North because they're very similar. Outside of that first game, which was a 7-point game, and the Blue Springs South game where they gave up 26, it's been I think they gave up 21 to Liberty, maybe, but other than that, they have really been dominant. But no, I think it says, look, they're the two best teams. They've got the best offenses. They've got the best players. And they're going out and and they are in a mode of, we know we can score this many points. We know we're going to do an offense, and defensively, we know what we have to do. And I think that shows in the consistency of both those teams. They're the best teams, and they've handled their business the way they should. And Lee Summit North's got Park Hill this week.
Mm-hmm.
I think they should take care of that, and they're going to be the 1 seed. So they get a week off, and then they'll get to play the winner of Ray Peck and Lee Summit, I think, which they've beaten both of them already. So, we'll get to see them again. But Lee Summit's probably more dangerous offensively. Ray Peck has been up and down this year, to say the least. I mean, they're really good in some games, really bad in others. Lee Summit's really playing well in that district. That being said, the top three are the top three in that district. But Lee Summit's, there's Dawson Heaney, their quarterback, and they've got some good receivers. That's an interesting team for me in that district.
Oak Park still undefeated by the skin of their teeth. They've got 2 wins over 2 good teams this year by 1 point. St. Joe Central this past week, early in the year, it was Grand Valley, but the Northmen staying spotless. Yes, and they were down 2 touchdowns late and got 2 touchdowns and a 2-point conversion, and then held St. Joe Central off there at the end. Oak Park, good team. They won the game. They did what they had to do. I'm not sure if St. Joe Central exposed some kind of flaw, because they're sitting 1-2 in their district, so they're probably going to see each other again. But St. Joe Central's offense is dynamic. They can run the game fields. Their tailback is outstanding. The quarterback's really good. They've got good receivers. That's a game that interests me when they play again, because that thing was back and, it was like 1 score here, up 1 score here, 1 up score here, tie all night long. And really, it kind of opened my eyes, because the question was, because Oak Park's played pretty good defense outside the Grand Valley and Lee Summit game. So that just shows that this is now the 3rd time this season that someone's put some points on them. And I don't know if it's a crack in their defense, or if it's just those offensive teams that I just mentioned, Lee Summit, Grand Valley, and St. Joe Central are really good. Grand Valley, who was up 61-8 on William Chrisman at halftime last week. So we're starting to see that team flex its muscle. Yep. Let's stay right there, and let's look at the Remax Big 3 games of the week. For you can find those on. Are they up yet? Yep, they are. They are. Monday night, baby. I got them done. Fort Osage at Oak Park. It's a good Fort Osage team. Another team that played a back and forth game with Grand Valley, like Oak Park did. They've got 3 losses on the year. Could the Fort Osage crew pull an upset on Oak Park? Like I said, you're looking at a Fort Osage team that has 2 losses by less than 1 score each, 1 point to Grand Valley and 1 score to Kearney. The game that I can't reconcile with the way Fort Osage is played is losing to Blue Springs. Yeah. Not close losing to Blue Springs. Yeah. That's the one I don't get, because they've been crushing everyone else. I don't get Reaver Peppers' outstanding tailback. I know they've gone through some quarterback changes. They've had some injuries there. This will be another one, like I talked about St. Joe Central last week. If Fort Osage puts some points up on them, the Oak Park defense may be the one to keep an eye on. That being said, Oak Park's proved they can outscore some people, so we'll see. But no, this is a good game. And last year was for the conference. This year it's not, because they're behind St. Joe. The other team to beat St. Joe Central was Fort Osage, and they handled 1 score they gave up. So we'll see. And this is a good litmus test, both these schools, especially since St. Joe Central and Oak Park are in 6A or Class 6 this year, not 5. So you're Fort Osage. You want to get this win, lock down that 2 seed. They're in the same district with Platte County and Grand Valley. So they need to kind of just lock that down and not get another loss, and they don't want to find themselves behind Platte County, have to go on the road to Platte County. Yep. Liberty North at Lee Summit West. We talked about it being kind of like prove it fortnight for Lee Summit West. We're trying out Lee Summit North for Liberty North. Can the Titans go 1-1, I guess, in that 2-week test? I think they can. They're going to be tested, because that Liberty North defense, after the Blue Springs South game, which Blue Springs South went and beat Blue Springs this week, so I think that kind of shows that they were getting better, and
that offensive output wasn't necessarily a fluke. They just had a good game. I think it's a good test for them. They saw what they did last week. They had the lead. They kind of got away from them in the end. They lose by 7. Liberty North and Lee Summit West have 1 loss each, both by 7 points to Lee Summit North. So this is a pretty even matchup. I'd kind of probably going to pick Liberty North, but that doesn't mean I think that Lee Summit West is. But if you're Lee Summit West, you got to kind of keep it close. You don't want to get plus 13. Rockhurst is coming up right behind. I don't know if there's enough points for Rockhurst to pass them to where a possible second round game would be at Rock instead of Lee Summit West. So things to think about.
Yep. Another one. This is going to be, I believe, our game of the week on KSHB 41 as well. I got off the grid a little bit. And I love it. Savannah at St. Pius. We're doing class 2, correct?
No, class 3, St. Pius. Savannah class 4.
I'm the worst. 3 and 4.
3 and 4.
For these two, both at 6-2 on the season, both with a loss against Maryville, although St. Pius's was closer. What do you think happens in this one?
Well, I just want to see these two teams play. They're both kind of locked in their spot in the districts, so it doesn't really affect them in that. But I think it's going to be a good test for both of them to really kind of just sharpen who they are heading into the postseason. And I don't know if you're a coach, you want a team you can beat by 30 so you can rest some of your players, but both these teams, I think I'd have to look at the districts if the 2 seeds get off in those districts or not. But I think they both want to go in with good momentum and coming off a good game like this. So it should be interesting.
All right, over in Kansas, big 3 games of the week. Lewisburg at Spring Hill. It's a big one. 7-0 Lewisburg, 6-1 Spring Hill. This is 4A and 5A though.
Yep. Frontier League on the line. I mean, these
Frontier
teams all,
League, baby.
Yep. Frontier League. So, Spring Hill, they're only lost to Blue Valley Southwest. I mean, there's showing to be no shame in that. And this is more of Lewisburg's more of a frontier. I mean, they're a Frontier League team. This is going to be, tough physical run game against each other. Colt McKenna, outstanding tailback for Spring Hill. Declan Battle, the quarterback for Lewisburg. Ashton Moore, who's a 2-way player, linebacker, tailback for Lewisburg. A lot of good players in this game. I think it reminds me of when Lewisburg and Paola, when we first started Preps KC, were both state quality teams, and they would play each other the last week of the season. And that happened a couple times. In fact, they were honoring the 2011 Lewisburg State Championship team last weekend. Okay. And so they had some of those guys, saw that on Twitter, some of those guys that won that game. And this is probably one of the best Lewisburg teams since that time. When Colt, Gary Griffin was the player. His son played with the Saints, tight end, long snapper. And so that was a really good team for Lewisburg. You don't remember that at all? I think his career is over because he was on the sidelines Friday night, but state champions in 2011.
No, Lewisburg turns out the athletes now. I know that for sure. All right, here we go. Both those teams, by the way, playing for number 1 seeds.
Yeah.
In their their side of the playoffs, in the east side here. After that, you had Basler Linwood at DeSoto. Again,
KC.
This is 4A and 5A. DeSoto also playing for a number 1 seed on their side of the playoffs.
And it's for the UKC crown. They both have won 5 in a row. Basler start off 0-2. DeSoto start off 1-1. Their only losses to now number 1 Washburn Rural. I did not vote that way. That's how K Preps.
Resume.
Yeah, that's how they win. I still think that Gardner and Olathe North will probably beat Washburn Rural, but we'll see.
Rural took down Manhattan, right?
Yeah, I'm not a huge Manhattan. I don't think it's very strong.
Champs, Leon.
5-6 fumbles in that game.
You know what?
And bad ones, like just running down the field and the ball popped out.
Hey, Manhattan broke Derby, okay? They've broken Derby. They beat them 3 times in the last year plus, okay? You got to give them their props.
Well, I'd say Blue Valley Northwest might have broke Derby in the state championship game the way they dominated them, and Derby's never recovered. But
they beat them 3 times.
Yeah. So
three. Anyway, carry on.
No, I like this game a lot. I think both these teams offensively have gotten much better as the season's gone on. 2 really good coaches. Different styles. I know that Basel Linwood's more balanced, and they've got a good quarterback again this year. And you know what DeSoto's going to do? They're going to run it. They're going to run it, and they're going to run it some more. And they've been dominating teams. So you know the scores have been closer for Baser all season long. But these two teams have played each other a lot over the last few years, so there's not a lot of mystery between them. And this is a good one to end the season, as both are trying to, you know, get their positioning done for the brackets.
Yeah. And once again, another all these, 4A v 5A matchup. Aquinas and Blue Valley Southwest. Southwest has their eyes on a number 1 seed. Aquinas probably can't. There's probably too many teams on the east side ahead of them, a couple with undefeated records. But this could be, you know, if Northwest could beat Bishop Miege, the winner of this game could tie for the league crown.
And I'm going to say this because the last time I said this, I was wrong. I don't think Southwest has ever beaten Aquinas.
Okay.
Now I could be wrong. I could be wrong back in that 2012 team that beat Miege. I'd have to go back and look.
And I don't know. Southwest played one less league game.
Yeah.
The other teams. So, you know, if they won and, you know, Northwest won, they would tie in the loss category. But I believe Miege would have one more win than them.
So, yeah, this is a big game for Southwest. And, you know, they definitely are a team that's answered all the questions, you know, as the year has gone on. But you can't really
night and day is how I would maybe describe these styles of offense.
Yes. I mean, we're talking flexbone versus as wide open as anyone can remember. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a matchup of styles. And I'm back to 2013. Oh no, they beat him in 2013. They beat St. Thomas Aquinas 34-14. So I did double check. There's a site out there that I could check on. I did. So yeah, so they're looking for their probably second win or third win over St. Thomas Aquinas, but it's been a decade. So it's been a decade. So no, it's you know, and if you're Southwest, you know, you may see a team like this in the postseason if you run up against a DeSoto, you know, or a run heavy team. Spring Hill's not a flexbone team, but they're a run heavy team. You've already seen them, but this is a good test for your defense to see if you can get a flexbone or option team off the field. I mean, that's what they're going to need to do so they can get their offense back on the field.
Take with you what you want from these. I'm going to throw out a couple games on each side that we haven't talked about. Belton at Kearney, Smithville at Grandview. Anything about those games stand out to you?
I think Smithville, they already locked in their number 1 seed. They've just been real busy with it very quietly after that loss, you know, early in the season to Platte County. All they've done is, you know, take care of everything and done what they needed to do. Kearney and Belton is interesting. Belton, they struggled to beat Raytown last week. I think that I'm kind of curious about them because they usually are kind of the opposite of what they haven't been playing as well the last few weeks. In the end of the season, but they used to be kind of the get off to a slow start, beat somebody in the playoffs you didn't think they were going to beat type of team. So I think I thought I heard they were dealing with some injuries and they were kind of banged up. So that has a lot to do with it, a lot. But Kearney coming off a good win at Grandview, it was close for a quarter and a half, and then they kind of just pulled away from Grandview. Grandview, their tough part of their schedule was their last 2 games, and they played that, you know, Kearney last week, and then they get Smithville this week. I don't think they can move up. Well, they could. Carl Junction's in front of them. If they could find a win here, I think they would move up to the 3 seed. But right now, I think they're pretty much locked into that 4 seed, and they'll play Lincoln Prep in week 1. But you know, all 4 of those teams want to go in with a win into the postseason. I don't know if it changes their positioning much, but they definitely want to go in with a win.
And on the Kansas side, we've got Olathe North at Free State. Winner of that game secures at least a tie for the Sunflower League title. And then, oh man, I had it over here. Well, let's just throw in the other game. There you have Olathe South and Gardner. And Olathe South is 5-2. What a run for Gardner. They've had to play 5-2 Mill Valley, 6-1 Olathe North, 5-2 Lawrence.
Yeah.
5-2 Olathe East, now 5-2 Olathe South, last 5 games of the season.
I expect a good performance by the Gardner defense. I mean, the defense played okay last week. I expect them to come out. But that being said, Olathe South is crazy.
Hard to pin down.
50, 40. They're all over the place, but offensively they can score. Is it Nuremberg, the
Yeah,
quarterback.
Quarterback.
Yes, 3-year starting quarterback could get them up and down the field. So no, Gardner's got to finish strong. This is gonna. I mean, this if they want to go in and try and get back to the state championship game, you don't want to go into the playoffs coming off 2 losses. That's for sure. Don't let one become 2. If you're late to South, just keep flying high. Just keep winning games. That's. I mean, then they don't. You get bonus points for your positioning, but we're at the point of the season where it doesn't matter how many points you win by. Like they beat Shawnee Mission South by 1 point last week and improved Shawnee Mission South. Doesn't matter if you're late to South, just keep winning games.
Yep. Okay. How's your Simone Award ballot look right now?
Both quarterbacks from Lawrence were really good last week. Banks, Bowen, and Wesley Edison. Ty Williams went for 200. He's sitting
play a half.
He had 23 carries. I'm pretty sure he had only played the first half, and he had 4 total touchdowns, 3 rushing and 1 receiving. He's sitting at 1,600 yards. He's almost right at 2,000 total yards and about 25 touchdowns.
Wow!
Because he's averaging 32 yards of reception on when he catches the ball.
More.
Yeah. So when he catches it,
more.
Yeah. So when he catches the ball, he generally scores from wherever he's at. It's pretty much that's how
the field at the very least.
Yes. His average did come down a hair. He's at 9.7 or 9.8 right now, but he's still averaging 206 yards a game. They've got Raytown this week. I think that he'll probably get a good half in there.
Some more numbers, yeah.
Yeah. So he's kind of the lead dog right now. But there's a lot of good players out there. Pankey at Oak Park, Reaver Peppers at Fort Osage, a lot of the good tailbacks, and Dylan Dunn at Blue Valley Southwest continues to put up big numbers. And it's one thing to put up big numbers and lose games. We've seen a Simone winner do that last year. It's another thing to put up big numbers and win games easy. So he's, how many fourth quarters has he played some weeks? So those are kind of the guys there, and we'll have another Simone watch this week. We're going to do the Fontana watch as well. So that's kind of where we're at on those, and it's getting closer. Once teams start to finish up regular season, you'll see some stuff, and then because the reality of it is in week 10 or week 9, not half, but a lot are done. So some of those guys will have their full season in, or and some of them will be going deep. If you're Grain Valley, you got to get out of your District 1 with Fort Osage and Platte County. That's not going to be easy. But I think Webb City's vulnerable. They were only a 1-score game with Neosho. Bad team. And so I think Webb City's definitely, that's who that district would get in the quarterfinals. So I think if you're Grain Valley, Fort Osage, Platte County, just focus on getting out of your district. It's not quite oh my gosh, we got to play Webb City. Fort Osage has never, I hate to say that. Platte County has beaten Webb City. I don't think Fort Osage has matched up with them since they've been up at 5, but I know Grain Valley has never beaten them, never played them, I don't think, because they bumped their heads in that quarterfinal. They've never been in a district where they're next to each other. It's always like a semifinal. So we'll see. It's going to be a fun week this week. We'll have brackets for Kansas on Friday night and Missouri on Saturday, because there are Saturday games. So all brackets are not complete until Saturday. Hopefully the brackets will be correct on Friday night, because that has been an issue in the past. It happens. Some points were different. I know that involved your team. And there was some to do about that on Friday.
A couple years ago.
So there's math involved. People make mistakes in math. So no, we'll have all the brackets out on Friday and Saturday, and then it's go time. It's here. It feels fast, but it's definitely here.
We have other fall sports that are already wrapped up, like golf, tennis last week, and
it's
basketball's knocking on the door. So is wrestling. They're like, hey, we're ready. Let's go.
Middle school basketball tryouts for my son, October 30th.
There we go. Good luck.
So, he's trying out. It's going to be a good experience for him.
Either Halloween costume be a basketball uniform.
He is actually going to be Marty McFly.
Oh, old soul there. I appreciate the
yes. It helps that my wife has a puffy vest jacket. So So he wanted to be Marty McFly this year. He thinks he needs a skateboard. I'm like, dude,
Yeah, you need the accessories.
I don't
you
have
need
a
to make sure
skateboard.
people know who.
Well, the thing
I
I
have a
haven't.
skateboard. I'll get you a skateboard. I can
You
get
give me a
you
skateboard. Okay. The other thing I think I
Or
have
just
is
knock on
old
your neighbor's
school,
door. Everybody has a skateboard.
the old school headphones.
Yeah, has he got the puffy vest?
He's got the puffy vest. That's the easy part. Puffy vest is the easy part. That's the one that's that's tough for a lot of people. In fact,
you need the accessories to make sure people know who you are.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's what he's going to be. Last year he was the Elvis. Last year he was Elvis. Last year,
just all these characters and people who were around, I don't know, 20, 30 years before he was born.
Yeah. Well, now he was. This has been 3 or 4 years. You ever watch a show called Henry Danger on Nickelodeon?
I know what it is. I never watched it.
Oh, you should watch it. It's as good for adults as it is for. I mean,
one of those little SpongeBob.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And so with the name Henry, we started watching that. So we've seen all of that. In fact, not that anybody needs to know this, but Teen Nick all summer was essentially nothing but Henry Danger.
Oh, nice. Okay.
It was like the only thing that's frustrating is if you're someone like me who likes to watch all the Law and Orders and things like that in order, because that's how they run them on most stations. They did not do that with Henry Danger. So, the Henry Danger character was like 13 to 18. And so like you'd have one where he's like,
it's a cartoon?
No, it's not a cartoon. It's regular.
Okay.
It's live action. In fact, there's a movie coming, evidently,
wow.
supposedly. Yes. So no, it's I highly recommend it if you have children to watch it. Something you can watch with your child, which is always, important.
Yeah.
You can only watch The Voice and The Masked Singer so many times.
All right, I got to get to work on this garbage disposal.
Yes,
okay?
yes. I got to finish up districts.
All right, sounds like a plan. Thanks for watching. Good luck to all your games Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whenever they are. We'll see you next time on Snap Tackle Pod.